In today's stream, we will take you on a deep dive into the new Settlers of Kalgur Challenge League. We'll cover the league mechanics, its new and revised crafting systems, a new trade market system for currency, some sweeping balance improvements, including 2 Ascendancy class changes, endgame improvements,
You've sold me.
To the campaign,
you have sold me already.
We'll then
already you have sold me. I have wanted a currency trade market for so long.
We'll new supporter packs, ending with a live Q&A session where Ziggy D will ask Path of Exile's game director Mark your questions from Twitch chat. After the live stream, we'll drop the full patch notes. I'll hand over to Mark now.
Currency trade. Woo! We needed that shit like ages ago.
With the content in this league.
No.
And I'm really excited to see what everyone thinks. So let's just get right into it with the trailer
Thank you.
for Path of Exile, Settlers of Kalgur.
Thank you. Boat League? Do we get Boat League? Tell me we'll get Boat League.
Rayclast is a cursed land. You'd have to be mad to settle here.
Let me see if I notice anything.
Welcome to King's March.
Woohoo! It is King's March.
Yet.
This is the Act 4 city in PoE 2.
The greatest city Rayclast has ever seen.
So Talkative Tries third what's it called prediction was right.
And savvy planning.
Oh, this is cool. Oh, this is what I wanted. So
soon we'll attract settlers, craftsmen.
This is exactly what I wanted.
Fortune seekers.
Did I see recombine?
And of course, pirates. But
I feel like I saw a low-key recombinator there.
Heavy with gold. We hope to achieve the impossible. We hope to build a home.
Nah, this is gonna be so good. This is actually gonna be so good. Did I see gold? Did I see gold? Warden Ascendancy class. It's a new Ascendancy class. Gladiator's getting reworked. Oh, this is gonna be a banger. Sentinel. Sentinel is going core. Sentinel is going fucking core this league.
In Path of Exile Settlers of Kalgur, you will encounter some familiar faces from the Expedition League. Danig, Rog, Tujin, and Gwenin are Kalguran people who are trying to establish trade between Rayclast and their homeland. They have recruited many curious characters from Rayclast, including some you may recognize, but are also seeking help of a powerful exile, like yourself. You will first encounter Johan, the King's Hand in Lionized Watch. He's there recruiting workers, traders, and exiles. Johan, under the command of the King of Kalgur, has been sent here to build a new city called King's March, which intends to become the hub of commerce between Rayclast and Kalgur. Soon, he will bring you to the planned site for King's
reaction to this,
which you'll notice has humble beginnings as just a tavern in a field. But with your help, it won't stay like this for long. It takes a lot to build a town. The Kalgurans will ask you to seek out resources that can be used to begin construction. On your adventures, you might find minerals such as crimson iron, which are veins of iron that have been overrun with corruption, spawning dangerous foes when you approach.
This is gonna be fun.
Or perhaps orichalcum, which you will have to liberate from the demons worshipping it. Petrified amber attracts mindless, blighted enemies. While bismuth has a strong affinity to the elements and causes the area to become unstable. If you're lucky, you might find vericium, a material as valuable as it is dangerous, and guarded by very powerful foes. Once you defeat these monsters, the deposit will automatically be tagged for mining. But first, we need to get someone to do the hard labor. This is of course a trade expedition and nothing is free. Miners, along with other workers that the Kalgurans have hired, must be paid in cold hard gold, which you'll notice is now dropping throughout Rayclast. You will have control about who gets hired into your enterprise. Once you have accumulated some gold, head to the town and talk to the recruiter, Rolf. He's been busy tracking down hardy folk across Rayclast who are looking for work.
Give me those cheap folk.
You'll notice each person has their specialties and a wage cost. It'll be up to you to hire and fire as you please. Over the course of the league, you'll be searching for your perfect employees for each job. Once you have them, you'll have to keep them paid, safe, and alive, which we'll get into later. Here we have a prospect who has a specialty in mining. We'll start with that so we can begin to retrieve some of those resources we were talking about earlier. Let's go find some more and put our miner to use.
Isn't this
we found a vein of
Mana Forge arrows?
It's guarded by dangerous demons worshipping a strange shrine.
Oh, it's not. It's just
The
Storm
shrine
Ring.
buffs the demons, giving them power. But once you defeat them, you can seize that power for yourself. After that, we can tag the ore, and our mining specialist will get to work. Soon, we encounter a few more deposits, each with a different dangerous encounter. After you have tagged the mineral veins, your miners will get to work collecting resources in real time. They might take a while, but will continue whether you are logged in or not.
Good, good, good.
The work can be sped up by hiring more or better miners, and by upgrading the mining station back in Kingsmarch to equip them with advanced pickaxes. Alright, some time has passed and our miners have been able to get the resources back to
I hope
town.
there's a way to
We've
speed it
also
up.
managed to collect some more gold too. We can now upgrade the town and build new structures. There's plenty of options. We just need to decide where to start.
I hope this thing goes core.
I think we'll
I haven't
start
played
with
it,
the
but I hope it
tavern,
goes core.
the beating heart of Kingsmarch. It can be upgraded instantly to improve the recruiter's prospects. And you can find various important NPCs relaxing here. Next, we'll upgrade our mining station. You can upgrade this to improve the efficiency
Tell me
of
you
your
can
miners
upgrade everywhere
and
from
allocate our
a
newly
particular
hired workers
point.
to mining. You will eventually need a smelter, where you can send your ore to turn into more valuable bars. Then we have the Disenchanter, where you can bring your magic, rare, or unique items to be added to a queue to be disenchanted over time. The items will be broken down into thaumaturgic dust, a new resource used for crafting and shipping. We'll get more into that later.
Question mark?
And of course, a town needs food.
Mark, I
You
need
could
questions
invest in farming,
answered.
where you can select crops to grow and harvest. But don't worry, you won't be manually watering anything. The wonders of delegation. With all these resources piling up, there will be excess that we can spend. Let's talk about rewards in Settlers of Kalgur. Eventually, you can build a harbour and establish shipping routes between a number of different Kalguran and Karui ports for trade. You'll be able to pile your acquired resources onto these ships and send them to a port of your choosing, where your traders will haggle for the best deals.
You have to defend the ship,
Each
don't you?
port will return specific rewards based on what you send them. They accept all types of resources, but will have a preferred type that they'll currently pay more for. And you'll want to get onto this, because eventually you could be bringing in shipments like this. This.
Alright, that's beautiful. Oh, that is beautiful.
Or
What?
even this.
What is that beast up at the top left?
Today, we're going to trade with Kalgur.
Oh, that is wild.
You'll notice that as we send more resources, this
That
risk
is
meter creeps up.
stupid.
Much like the dangers on the shores of Rayclast, there are dangers out at sea. Monsters, pirates, environmental hazards. You'll want to try to keep your shipment safe. You can do this by hiring workers that specialize
Hello,
in
OCG.
shipping.
Thank you for the prime. How
The
you
more of them
doing?
you add to the ship,
I
the
appreciate
less
it.
risk there will be. Like this gentleman, who's famous for fending off even the most dangerous of pirates. Now let's get that shipment going, and we'll continue exploring Rayclast while we wait for its return.
Can we help
This is
defend
the
it?
first Path of Exile League that experiments with true real-time mechanics. You can send out
Yes, it is.
shipments, go and have lunch, and come back to your rewards. Many mechanics in the league work this way, so you'll always have some ongoing project or outcome to look forward to. When your shipment has returned or met its demise, you'll get notified, and at your leisure you can return to the town to collect your rewards. Our shipment returned safely, so let's go see
Amazon
what
give
we
you
got.
free Prime. Oh, that's chill.
Ooh, they've sent us a unique item alongside our rewards.
That is
Perhaps
chill.
hoping to secure us as a loyal customer for the future. Aside from shipping,
What was
the
that?
Kalgurans are big on their technology.
I
They
didn't see what the
have hired
item
Isla,
did.
A familiar face from the Heist League. She is an
Wait, is
engineer who the
how's school
Kalgurans
going?
have employed for a very exciting purpose. You're not the only one who understands how profitable running maps can be. Once at endgame, Isla can help you build a series of Kalguran modified map devices. You can
Question
then
mark?
put a queue of maps into them. If you've hired a few skilled Atlas runners, they will put themselves to work running those maps for you one after another. Look, more delegation. Once again, you'll be notified when the rewards are ready to be collected.
No
You
fucking
can
way.
put lots of maps in the queue, so don't feel obliged to go back there all the time. Be careful though. The difficulty of the map impacts the risk of your workers perishing.
95%
Try to pick your
chance.
best workers, or perhaps just ones you don't like. Consider the difficulty too. Sometimes it's better to just run it yourself. You'll see there are many benefits to having a whole-ass town at your fingertips.
Oh damn, man.
Let's talk about crafting services. You should
Can't wait
definitely
for it.
consider
When
building a
are you
runesmithing
graduating?
table. This is operated by Danig himself, using powerful Kalguran blacksmithing arts. He can engrave runic magic onto your weapons using runes. There are many rune types and combinations to choose from, and you can unlock new crafts that can be applied to your weapons as enchantments. Our design intention here is to take powerful effects you would usually only find on unique items,
No way.
like this modifier, which you might recognize from Doomfletcher's Prism. Danig can apply it to your two-hand maces. There are over 100 different special crafting outcomes,
No way.
ranging from ones very easily applied to very difficult. The rune types can be acquired through trade with Kalgur,
That's
or defeating
insane.
powerful bosses.
That is actually insane.
The Kalguran tech benefits don't end there. We're also bringing back a formerly overpowered crowd favorite, Recombination.
I knew I saw this
Isla is
shit.
trying to master this. She just needs you to help her with getting resources. The
48k
system
gold.
isn't as strong as
That
it
is
used to be, but it
expensive.
still allows you to combine two items together, hoping to get the best modifiers of each onto a single item. Between running the
Minion
town,
buff.
shipping, and exploring, you'll be collecting a lot of extra gold. It is now the primary resource for two huge new quality of life features that we are putting to test. Firstly, you can use gold to respec passive points. This is a feature from Path of Exile 2 that we've
Oh.
decided just makes sense to port
No
back.
orbs of
The
regrets.
higher level you are, the more expensive it gets. And the next one is absolutely massive. A currency trade market. The Kalgurans have recruited Faustus, another NPC from the Heist League. He allows you to asynchronously buy and sell currency and most other stackable items with other players without the nuisance of price fixes and people who never respond. All you need to do is select what currency you want, say what you have, and your ideal ratio. It works kinda like a real-life stock market. Faustus will make the trade happen for you, so long as there is someone selling on the other end for the same rate or less. You'll be able to go back to blasting monsters while trusty Faustus does the dirty work, notifying you when your currency is ready for collection. All you need to do
It's
is
kind
pay
of like
him a
how
small amount of gold for his time.
RuneScape's thing works.
Cards on the
And there's
table,
tax.
this is an experiment to see if this type of asynchronous trading has a place in future Path of Exile releases. We're very excited to see how it goes. Now, given that Faustus is an expert in black market trade and shady deals, he also provides
And in
another
December,
service,
okay.
offering
Not too bad.
items for gold.
What is this?
The items will generate with random rarity, and on average, the modifiers on them are better than normal. This can be a very nice way to get some targeted items during the campaign. For serious crafters, it can be a great starting point for making those elusive, specific in-game items, which perhaps you could take to the runesmith afterwards. It's worth noting that you can invite Faustus to your hideout, where he will always be available for respecking, currency exchange.
This is one guy that's gonna be on everybody's hideouts.
As your town grows,
I can guarantee
it will
it.
attract more attention, good and bad.
Oh.
Settlers of Kalgur features 3 endgame bosses that will close in on your operations,
Oh.
wanting a piece of the pie. They might capture and ransom your workers, even your entire
Is this
ships.
all?
You'll have to make some tough decisions.
This looks
Whether
like
you take
all,
them on
or
pay
rather a
them off.
Kalguran enemy.
One example of a boss is Sasan, the Bandit Lord. You won't stumble across this boss by accident. Instead, this unsavory character can come into your town at night and take your Atlas runners hostage, holding them for ransom. What happens next is up to you. Perhaps you'll refuse to negotiate with bandits, leading to a fight to defeat Sasan and rescue your workers. If you're not up for the heroics,
such
you
a
might
big
simply
league.
pay the ransom in gold. Or perhaps these workers were especially disappointing, and you'll just leave them for dead. in
How
true
dare you
Raid
get
Plus fashion.
captured?
They knew what they were signing up for, right? Of course, the heroics might be worth it for other reasons. These bosses can drop new unique items.
Chance to block spell ward?
In sum, Settlers of Kalgur is a very experimental league with new mechanics that will completely change how you play the core game. We've been sitting on a
Holy
lot
shit,
of these
this is gonna
ideas
be
for
big.
a while and can't wait to share them with you. But
This
there's
is
a
gonna be
lot more to this
big
expansion.
league.
Let's talk about balance. Well,
Let me turn off
we've
odds so
finally
nobody has to deal
rebalanced
with
the
this shit.
Gladiator. It's been a long time
Yeah,
coming.
nobody plays Gladiator essentially.
Like before, there are passive skills that allow you to invest in bleeding and block. We've designed new skills replacing some of the old ones. Like this, War of Attrition, which is very handy for long sustained boss fights. Further alongside the Gladiator theme, this new passive allows you to combine different weapon types while dual wielding to get a variety of powerful bonuses. For example, holding a dagger will give you more critical strike chance, while holding a mace gives you more area of effect. Of course, you could just use Varanastra for all weapon type bonuses. And finally, we have a new notable which allows you to invest in the newly added Retaliation skills. These are active skills which require you to meet a certain condition in order to use them. Once you meet that condition, you can unleash devastation on your foes. Here we have Eviscerate, which
Retaliation.
requires you to have a shield. Or
God
for
damn.
those who like to dual wield, Sword Storm, which is great for obliterating bosses. Here we have the Divine Retribution skill. This one has the condition requiring you to block. You can then unleash a devastating spell, causing lightning bolts to strike the ground in an X shape around your target location, doing huge amounts of damage.
Oh, that is
And of course,
That looks
in
strong.
true Path of Exile fashion, there are many avenues to invest in these mechanics further on the passive tree
Cooldown
and a new support gem. You are able to increase the leeway duration after meeting the condition, reduce the cooldowns, or just increase their damage. The world's your oyster. The Gladiator wasn't the only Ascendancy class we've changed. As we develop Path of Exile systems, we often find ourselves reusing mechanics, increasing their depth,
so Retaliation
and
is all
allowing
about.
more avenues to invest
It's gonna
into
be
them.
Gladiator's
As such,
specialty.
the Raider Ascendancy class found itself lacking, with many of its passives commonly available elsewhere. We want
Yeah.
our Ascendancy classes to always feel like they're pushing the boundaries, allowing you to change your character in ways that are meaningful.
Raider
and
always seemed
ideally
like an
unique.
early game class.
As a result, we've straight up removed the Raider, rest in peace. And we've added a new class in its place, the Warden. This class is largely inspired by its predecessor from the Affliction League, with a few changes. The Warden now focuses on elemental attacks, changing the behavior of Shock, enhancing Freeze, and replacing Ignite with Scorch.
You scorch
There's
them
also a
instead.
skill that allows
Touch
you
now
to go
scorch.
ballistic with your elemental damage, periodically. The class also grants Barkskin, which is a
Nice.
skill
I
that
like
can be used to
Barkskin.
mitigate physical damage from hits. After taking a number of hits, it increases your evasion, making it a great defensive choice.
I like Barkskin.
Finally, the last thing the Warden can specialize in is tinctures.
Ooh,
These
tinctures
are
are coming
alternative
back.
to flasks from the Affliction League. We're bringing them back with adjusted mechanics.
Yo, this class looks loaded. Like it has
Tinctures
so
can be
many
placed in your
nodes.
belt, replacing flasks.
So
You
many
can
flicky.
inherently only have one tincture active at a time, and it requires a melee weapon to use. While activated, they grant a powerful buff. They can drop as magic items or be modified with currency to grant extra bonuses.
So wait. So they can only be used on
Here
melee
is a
weapons?
prismatic tincture. This
That's
one
kind
increases
of
elemental
meh.
damage by 100% while active. You'll notice it has two extra effects. One is that it applies mana burn every second. Mana burn is a debuff that builds up while tinctures are active that causes you to lose mana, losing more mana for each stack. Tinctures also have a cooldown, so once you have disabled one, no other tincture can be enabled for a time. These changes make tincture use a more active and interesting choice than it was in Affliction. Both mana burn and the cooldown can be modified through modifiers on the tinctures or on the passive skill tree. Players will want to maximize their tincture uptime for sure.
I can already see some
Here we
builds
have a
trying to
couple
go
other
insane
tinctures.
mana regen.
The Poisonberry tincture is excellent for poison builds. The Rosethorn tincture is the choice for those wanting to deal critical strikes. You might be wondering,
Why
with the
Raider
removal of the Raider,
and melee?
where has the Frenzy Charge investment gone? We've added a Frenzy Charge passive skill to the Deadeye, replacing the Rupture passive skill. On top of Ascendancy classes, we have revisited a number of core mechanics. This time
Melee.
taking pains to ensure easy access through the passive tree, skill gems, and simple items. We don't want all the powerful mechanics to be hidden behind layers of complexity. Let's just rapid fire through the key points. If you want more detail later, you can read
Patch
the
notes.
patch notes, which will be dropped after the live stream.
Tell me gold is automatically
Be sure
picked
to
up, by
let
the
us know
way.
what you think.
And you don't have to walk over
There's a lot
it.
of changes, so be prepared for a bit of a shock to the system. I expect
looks like
will
it
take
is.
several days for the dust to settle on this one. Firstly, we've made some drastic alterations to melee skills. Let me just rip this band-aid off. Melee totem skill gems have been removed. We're trying to adopt a philosophy with melee going forward that, unlike other builds, it will be far less oriented around set and forget gameplay. You will deal the damage yourself, and you should be rewarded for doing so. To compensate, we have buffed the damage on almost every single melee skill. As the majority of this damage growth comes from gem levels, we have also made them cost more mana as they level, but it's nothing like the mana costs on spells.
So gem level
Here
is
are some
helping now.
examples of the damage and costs before and after. Heavy Strike has gone from dealing 313% attack damage at gem level 20 to a massive 552% attack damage.
Damn.
It's also worth noting it no longer knocks
Mana
enemies
is
back.
double too.
And Sweep has gone from dealing 281% attack damage to now dealing 664% attack damage at gem level 20. These are just two examples, but the majority of melee skills are now dealing approximately 75% more damage at level 20.
Damn.
Of course, with melee comes close proximity combat, so you need some good defensive options. New base types with higher defensive values will now drop throughout the endgame. As you reach yellow, red, and purple maps, you can expect to find higher tier base types in each. For example, Val Regalia and Hubris Circlet are no longer the best in slot items for Energy Shield.
Energy shield,
There
chest
are
and
new
helm.
base types that surpass them. Combined with some quality changes, which we'll talk about soon, you can now get better items than ever before in these slots. To compensate, we have reduced the amount of flat evasion and armor from the Grace and Determination auras. But overall, you're getting more defenses than before.
Oh, that's cool.
On top of this, we have buffed life modifiers on magic and rare equipment. You can now get as high as 189
God
additional
damn.
maximum life from a single modifier on body armors, and more on other slots too. Kaum's Heart has also finally been restored to its former glory and once again grants plus 1000 to maximum life. I mentioned quality. Quality on weapons and armors is being changed to apply multiplicatively. In other words,
Yo, we're gonna have
weapons
so
with full
much
quality
fucking
will have
armor.
20% more physical damage, and armor with full quality will have 20% more local defenses. For
We're gonna have
melee,
so
this will mean
Ooh,
a damage
it's
increase
gonna be
for
so
almost
good.
all builds using physical damage attacks. And it will mean more evasion, armor, energy shield, and ward.
Maybe
for all
now
builds.
spell suppress is not gonna feel as OP compared to
Endurance
other
charges
defensive
no longer
layers.
grant
That's what I'm
elemental
hoping at least.
resistances, but instead grant additional elemental damage reduction, making it multiplicative with resistances.
Huh?
You can now get 4% per charge, alongside the existing 4% physical damage reduction. To compensate, we have made some changes to the Juggernaut, and various unique items like
So it's
Eternal
EDR
Damnation.
now.
You can get more maximum resistances from the tree, specifically around the
Oh,
Marauder
endurance
class
charges
buff.
are strong as shit
These,
now.
of course, can stack with the new elemental mitigation from endurance charges. On top of this, duels can now roll maximum elemental resistances as modifiers.
Oh,
Since we're making elemental mitigation more accessible, we've heavily reduced accessibility to physical damage taken as chaos or elemental damage. Those stats are still around, but you should not expect to be getting full conversion anymore. All block passives have been buffed, so you can now more easily achieve block cap from just the passive tree.
thank you, thank you,
The
thank
Keystone
you,
Versatile Combatant has been improved to have less of a penalty to maximum block.
thank you. Like
A
this,
number of
these
life leech
block
passives
changes
have been
are
buffed
stuff I've
to
wanted for
generally
so
allow
long.
more acquisition of
Because it's
maximum
so
leech
hard
rate
on
for life.
Necromancer. Without
Val
bone bar,
Pact has
without
been reinstated to its former glory
Bone
for
Offering.
instant life leech, but only for melee. We've reworked Flesh and Stone.
So what does
Previously,
ED
this
now
buff
do?
skill granted Maim and Blind, depending on the stance of our character. Now, while in Sand stance, the skill simply provides damage mitigation, becoming more effective the closer you are to enemies. While in Blood stance, enemies will take more physical damage the closer you are to them. This skill will now greatly favor melee or close range gameplay. Given we're doing a Kalgurin League, Ward has also received a bit of attention.
Well, that's
There are
good.
new
I
uniques that grant
noticed.
Ward, and the base restoration of Ward is now faster. To compensate, Olroth's Resolve has been nerfed, but Ward loop builds will still be possible. Anyway, that was most of the purely defensive changes. Now let's look at some of the offensive and utility-based ones. There are more and better ways to deal with mana as an attacker on the southern hemisphere of the passive tree.
That's cool. Wait, what is this? That's a new
Wands,
reservation
daggers,
wheel?
Scepters, claws, and staves now have higher critical strike chance values than ever. Wands can go as high as 10% without
Please give us
modifiers.
minion
Sandstorm
base crit
Visage
too.
has been made rarer to compensate.
Please give
instead
it-
of
give
reducing
us.
its power. For you wand attackers, wands now have higher attack speed than ever to compensate for their low damage. Wand exclusive skills such as Power Siphon, Kinetic Bolt, and Kinetic Blast now have faster attack times. Impale passives have been revised and in general buffed.
I don't care too much about Impale.
The buffs granted by Warcries are now simpler but more significant and more universal to builds. They also now apply to allies by default. Banners have been reworked. Instead of having a reservation cost, they are now free. However, they don't grant a permanent buff. Banners now need to be placed for the effect to be active.
Oh,
However, once placed, they are far more powerful than before.
huh.
Additionally, there are new ways to prolong the effects and more ways to invest in them than ever before.
Am I gonna use banners?
Rage has been made more fundamental and discoverable,
I feel like I wouldn't,
Rage is now
depending on how strong they
multiplicative
are.
attack
I
damage.
might.
but no longer inherently grants attack speed or movement speed. It has a new cap, and you can find many new passive clusters that allow you to invest into the mechanic. The goal is to make Rage more powerful as a baseline and less gated behind the use of specific unique items and ascendancy classes.
I don't mind. This
Berserk
one thing I
has
will
been
say.
nerfed, just so you're aware. We have changed how bleed works too. You can now find aggravated bleed on the passive tree. When applied, all bleeds on the enemy will deal damage as if the enemy is moving for the remainder of their duration. The skill Ensnaring Arrow no longer interacts with bleed, so no more will you have to apply bleeds and swap to a bow. You can now achieve the same result using aggravated bleed passives without the annoyance.
That's good. That's a good
Rupture
change.
from the Deadeye has been turned into a support gem. We've added the new Overexertion support gem, which highly favors slam builds. Now, it's time to look at a hot topic, Magic Find. In the Settlers of Kalgur expansion, we are going to be removing item quantity bonuses from all character items.
God
this
damn!
will not affect existing items in standard leagues. Magic
No
Find
more
is intended
MF.
to be another axis on your gear you can scale once you have achieved the power you want. With item quantity
I don't blame
being
them, to
only
be
available
honest.
on unique items, this meant if you wanted to get the most out of it, you had to be playing a very specific build. We still want people to be able to invest into Magic Find, but now only through item rarity. This can be obtained on a number of rare item slots and by a
Look at
much
all that
larger number
gold.
of builds. What about Ventor's Gamble, you might ask? Here it is now. This is one of the
Was
biggest
that a
balance
lot
patches
of-
we've ever done.
That was a
I
big
can't
amount of
promise that
rarity.
existing builds will all be safe. Even we aren't able to predict all the outcomes here, nor have we even gone into every single change, just the major ones. I don't know, man. Balance is hard.
That's the
But
truth.
the sheer number of new, viable options is exciting, especially
I
for
agree.
melee.
I think
And we're
I like the
determined
changes
to
so
drag
far.
the game in a better direction. Be sure
like
to
the
read
changes
the
a
patch
lot.
notes after this. It's going to be a ruckus. In 3.24, we overhauled the in-game experience by introducing a new tier of maps and reworking scarabs. We want to continue to improve these systems and introduce more exciting in-game content every league. 3.25 is no exception. Let's check out the myriad of changes coming in Settlers of Kalgur. First up, we are changing many scarabs. We won't go into too much detail here to avoid getting lost in the weeds, but here's a few new ones. Be sure to check out the patch notes after this for more detail. We've also added an additional map device slot, which will be unlocked upon completing your first 10-way Maven encounter.
Yeah, they mentioned this in
This
on
simply
a
allows
previous
for more
video.
combinations of scarabs and maps, resulting in more
They said
difficulty
10 ways
and
specifically?
more rewards. This is on top of the existing additional slot that can be unlocked by completing your first Tier 17 map. There are now 6 map device slots in total. You might have seen our teaser, where we revealed we'll be adding new special encounters to the endgame. One such encounter is the Nameless Seer, lurking in Tier 16 and 17 maps. This NPC will give you a selection of unique items, and you can pick one for free.
Okay.
In Tier 16 maps, he now has an additional feature, where you can scry a map. This allows you to swap the divination card drops of the current map with another map on your atlas.
Oh.
Just one caveat. You cannot have the same map be in multiple swaps at the same time. If you want to undo your choice, you can use a scouring orb on either map on your atlas. We've also made
cool.
some updates to a
That's
couple of
pretty
leagues.
cool, actually.
Blight has been updated with some atlas passive skill changes,
I'm gonna have to check out the changes.
and double anointed amulets can now drop in Blight Ravaged maps.
Hey, what
We've
now?
also introduced a new type of oil.
Yo,
that can only
new
drop from
bases.
Blighted and Blight Ravaged maps. Ritual has also been updated. You can now find one new and many reworked base types, new unique items, corpses you can use to raise as specters,
Good one.
and occasionally a fragment,
Marionettes are back.
granting access to the King in the Mists boss fight from the Affliction League.
I never did this boss fight.
He
This
will
is a
drop
boss fight
number of
I'd
unique
want to
items
do.
that were familiar from the league, but not that which was taken, as it is now that which was taken away.
Yes, by GGG.
However, he now drops a different modular jewel that you might recognize from the Necropolis League.
The icon looks the same as TWWT. Piranha's back? Piranha's
In
came
Tier
back.
16 and Tier 17 maps, you can now encounter the Wildwood, also from the Affliction League. In case you missed it, the Wildwood is a mysterious forest fraught with danger. In the darkness, you will find
This
magical
is
wisps
worthy
yearning
of
for
being
freedom.
the last part before
Upon
PoE
releasing
2.
them, they will empower the
Like,
monsters in your map.
I don't even
promising
care.
more danger, but
This
more
has so, it's so loaded. It's
You
not
may
even
also
funny.
find random sentinels on the ground near the start of your maps.
Oh.
From the Sentinel League. They work in a similar way to before. They aren't items, but you can click on them and then they can be activated in that area at any time of your choosing.
So,
Upon activation, they will buff monsters around you, increasing their difficulty and rewards. And here's one for those who like to live dangerously.
and then you can use the
You may
Atlas
occasionally find a
Salter. How
reflective
often?
mist from the Calandra League. It has
Calandra is
two
also
outcomes.
going
It could
core.
drop a jewelry item with randomly enhanced or inverted modifier values. Or it can give a reflecting mist item, which can be used on an existing piece of jewelry to perform the same action at a time of your choosing.
This is gonna be so
Good luck.
fucking expensive, I'm sure.
There's many other small changes to League content. We're removing the first 15 most boring waves of the simulacrum
Yeah, we've
and
gone through this.
rebalancing its rewards
It's
to
nice.
improve the
It's a good
chances of
change.
finding unique jewels.
Though I never do
We're
Sim to
also
even begin with. I
adding
might
some of
try
the beasts
Sim.
from Einhar's Memory of Harvest Beasts to the core pool. This includes
Huh?
the Black Morrigan.
Hey,
In
what
other
now?
news, we've added a set of new chisel types, which can be applied to your maps to get different bonuses. While the cartographer's chisel
Huh?
still increases item quantity, there are new ones that now increase rarity,
Oh
pack
shit.
size, increased chance for currency items,
No.
divination cards, and scarabs.
Oh, this is
It's also
beautiful.
worth mentioning that chisels now apply 20% quality per chisel to white maps,
This is
10% to yellow maps,
this is beautiful.
and 5% to red maps and higher.
This is
Unique
actually
maps still
beautiful.
require the full 20 chisels.
Brings a tear to
Also,
my eye.
only one type of chisel can be applied to a map at a time. During 3.24, we made a change to Tier 17 maps that allowed them to be rerolled with Chaos Orbs. We are now expanding the currency types that can be used on them to also include currencies like chisels and Val Orbs. Ultimately, the only restriction Tier 17 maps now have is that explicit modifiers cannot be removed from them. We have also revised the difficulty of these maps, as they didn't quite hit the mark.
You better.
The monsters in them now have substantially less life and deal less damage.
I hope this
meaning
doesn't affect
Tier
the
17
minions.
maps now better fit into the progression between Pinnacle and Uber Pinnacle content.
I hope this doesn't affect the minions. I want my
Lastly, we've
Regifilers.
adjusted the drop rate of Valdo's puzzle boxes. Previously, we were adapting its drop rate based on the possible outcomes selected by supporters. So many supporters really wanted Mageblood, so the box was hardly dropping. Thus, we have drastically increased the drop rate of the box, but reduced the probability of getting chase unique items from it, like Mageblood. Overall,
That's
we
fine.
have taken care not to reduce the number of Magebloods total in the economy. We figured it was better to have more tickets for fun rather than barely seeing any boxes in a league. We've been